Today on XPlay, WWE superstar King Woods geeks out hard on Final Fantasy XIV.
Get your pens and paper out, class, because this will be on the final.
Halo legend Joe Staten spills every secret about Halo Infinite. At least that's what we want you to think, so you keep watching. It's game time.
Welcome to XPlay. The air feels different today, Gerard.
Ooh, that sensation you're feeling isn't a slow gas leak in your apartment. It's excitement, because the release of Halo Infinite is just around the corner.
And to get us properly hyped, Frost sat down with Halo legend and 343 head of creative Joe Staten.
Are we taking bets on how many F-bombs that Frost says?
I'm gonna say 3, less than 10.
Take it away, Frost.
With us today is the man who worked as director of cinematics at Bungie on Halo 1, 2, and 3. He is now the head of creative for 343 Industries' upcoming Halo Infinite. Please welcome XPlay, Joseph Staten.
Oh, thank you. I didn't realize there would be actual applause, so that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, it always surprises everyone when our crew gets involved.
I just sat up a little straighter. That's good.
I know, right? We don't just pay them to hold the camera. If you guys don't applause, you're all getting fired.
Wow.
They laugh because they know I'm not joking. Okay, so I think first things first is I really want to touch on to the fact that 343 decided to release the Infinite multiplayer earlier than expected. Can you kind of walk me through that process? Because it was like perfectly timed, like so well. That was like the greatest surprise. I don't know if you heard, but one of our G4 employees, Golden Boy, massive Halo fan. He was sprinting through the office screaming, "Halo is out! Halo is out!" We'd lost productivity the rest of the day. Everyone was downloading it.
That's hilarious. Well, I mean, in part, that was what we were hoping for, is that people would be surprised, and it would really be this fun celebration of 20 years of Halo and of Xbox, a sort of anniversary surprise for everybody. But the multiplayer is a beta, and we do take that really seriously. So we want to make sure we've been flighting the game previously, but before we actually launched it for real, to make sure that all our services were stable, that we were ready to go with millions of people jumping in. And of course, we wanted to get feedback from players as early as possible so we could keep making the experience better. So those two reasons, I'm glad someone was sprinting down a hallway. That's awesome.
Yeah, and what did you guys think of the internal reaction from releasing the beta, or how have you guys felt the crowd sentiment is for you guys?
Yeah, well, we've definitely heard that people love the gameplay, like you've said. I mean,
butter smooth.
Yeah, I mean, I think, hey, look, the Halo sandbox, that mix of character attributes and weapons and equipment, vehicles, has always been super tight, super fun. But I really think Halo Infinite is the best it's ever been in the series, and so people are really loving the gameplay. At the same time, we've gotten a lot of feedback around things like progression that isn't working the way people wanted it to. But hey, that's all part of being a beta. We wanted to hear that feedback, see how it lined up with our goals, and then start to make improvements as quick as we can. Which
is a great segue kind of for the next topic, which is the biggest pain point or critique has been around the Battle Pass progression, that it feels a little bit grindy. And now I give you the silver platter. How would you like to respond? The floor is yours.
Oh, that's easy. That's a softball question, because it is grindy. Like when we looked at what players were saying online, when we looked at the data that we get, we realized, oh wow, this is absolutely not meeting our goals about how fast we wanted to get people through the Battle Pass. So looking at that sentiment and looking at the data, we've already rolled out a couple sets of targeted feedback, targeted changes, and the last set of changes we rolled out, we went after Battle Pass leveling time specifically. So now as we look at things, it's much more in line with what we hoped, and seems like players are much happier with how they're getting through the Battle Pass. That said, we know it's not the only thing we need to do. When I talk to the team, we talk about like the small rocks that we can move quickly, and then the bigger rocks that are going to take longer to move. And we're totally committed to moving the bigger things and getting some of the bigger features that people have pointed out that we know are missing too. And so those changes will just keep rolling in over time.
I've played the campaign mode, testing it to review it, and it felt like the opening of this Halo almost felt like a nod to all of the adventures that Master Chief had been on previously.
Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely the intention of the team. We call it a spiritual reboot. Hard reboot would be we literally retell the story of Halo 1, right? When we say spiritual reboot, what we mean is it should feel like classic Halo. It should remind you of those earlier games, but it needs to feel modern too. Our goal isn't just to, take this thing that we've frozen in amber and redo it, but really to bring innovation, some new ideas to the Halo mix. And so I'm glad to hear that you felt like, oh wow, this feels really familiar, but hopefully there were some new things in there too. I'd say for me personally, coming back, I had the same feeling, which is, wow, a lot of this feels really familiar. It feels like coming home to a certain extent. But the more I played the game, the more I realized what the team had invested in. It really felt like this special new version of a Halo recipe.
There's that moment where I almost think of it almost kind of as like the tutorial element of the campaign, where you finally get to touch ground and you have the open map experience, and you decide that you're taking on the new mission, and you have that. It's almost like the cyberpunk window sequence where he's on the ship and the iconic theme song comes blaring out. I think it's the first time that it's used in the game. Can you kind of like walk me through that process? Because at that moment I was like, I'm home. It just felt so good. And I'm curious if you intended that for players like me who have played Halo in the past and now are revisiting it, or like you're saying, it's a reboot or a spiritual reboot for players who have never played Halo before and now they get to experience that with Master Chief.
Yeah, we're absolutely trying to capture those same emotions that have always been part of Halo. That feeling of, this powerful soldier exploring this alien world. We really want players to feel a sense of mystery and adventure, but also Halo is about hope and a little bit of color and a little bit of humor. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So when we talk about the tone of the game, we absolutely were trying to harken back to that tone that's always been part of Halo, those same feelings we've always tried to evoke. So I'm glad it resonated for you as someone who's played previous Halo games, and we hope if someone's never touched a Halo game, that when they play it, they feel those same things that all of us have been feeling for the last 2 decades of being Halo fans.
So a fun fact about you is that you were actually one of the voices for the grunts.
That's true.
In the original Halo. I have to ask, can you do a grunt impression off the cup?
Well,
I have to, guys.
Yes.
They clap so you have to.
The unfortunate thing is, I can turn it on pretty quick. But one of the funnier parts of the grunt story is when I do the grunt voice in the studio, I don't actually get up here and sound grunty because they pitch shift me and add some processing. And so whenever anybody directs me when I'm doing the grunt, they remind me like, hey, it's a 4-hour session. If you do this for 4 hours, you're not gonna blow your voice. So really when I do the grunt, I'm just a little bit up here and I'm a little bit higher, but I'm not trying to get super grunty. Inevitably, I go full grunt and then I can't speak for a week afterwards, but so it's been fun to revisit that strange little character for Halo Infinite. And actually, not to spoil things, but I'm a different kind of grunt this time around.
You guys are hilarious in Infinite.
Yeah.
And just quite rude.
Oh, yeah. But again, going back to the humor, like that's always been part of Halo, right? Color, humor. It can be a serious game at times, but it's a hopeful, fun game too.
In terms of the creative process, I know that you were cinematics or in charge of cinematics in your previous Halo experience, now moving on to creative director.
Yeah.
How did that impact, I guess, kind of the creative lens that you were looking at for Halo Infinite?
Well, back when I was writing and doing the cinematics for the early Halo games, one of the things I learned that's really important, and I say this a lot, and you can carve it on my gravestone, I guess, as a game designer, but even if you're a writer or cinematic director, the storytelling belongs to everybody on the team. If you're an artist, if you're an engineer, a UX designer, everybody has a part to play in bringing together this experience, this cohesive story. And once that clicked in my younger brain, it really became much more enjoyable to be part of this team. I mean, I've always been a really curious person. I love to learn. But once I began thinking of it as a story that we all shared, it just made it so much more fun to poke into people's worlds and ask like, hey, how do you do your job? Like, what can we do to make it easier? How can we work more effectively together? So I think having that sort of joyful storyteller's lens on the process is super useful in my current job, because my current job is really all about bringing people together, making sure we're unified around a common vision, and keeping people energized and ready to rock and roll. But those same skills and learnings that I had much younger in my career are still the same things that I'm doing today.
kind of last question to really put a whole bow on this.
Yeah.
You keep saying that Halo Infinite is a story about hope.
Yeah.
And if you could just, in kind of the most brief, simplistic way, what is the story, the metaphor, the theme, the motif of Halo Infinite's campaign?
Wow, okay, well, I know, that's a good question. We could talk for hours about that. But, you know, I joined the team 16 months ago. And if we all look back 16 months ago,
Pretty dark times.
yeah, I mean, we as humans on this planet, we've been going through a lot recently. And what made me so happy to be back on the Halo team is because, as you said, one of those themes, those powerful ideas that guide the game has always been hope, even in the darkest of times. And you, as this hero, this bright green, gold visored hero, the most powerful actor in this rich physical simulation, you're there to beat the Covenant or beat the Banished, but you're not there to destroy or ruin things or break people down or, you know, insult them or do dark and gruesome things. You're there as a force of hope, a force of good in the world, a powerful force of good in the world. And I think for all of us humans on the planet that have been kicked in the knees for the last 2 years, I think that's just a wonderful game to play. And I'm so happy to be part of this team and delivering a game like this at this time.
The saga of Master Chief is long, winding, and apparently now never ending.
But it's nothing compared to the nonsense Final Fantasy has brought into this world.
Coming up next, WWE superstar King Woods, aka Austin Creed, is here to catch you up on everything you need to know about Final Fantasy XIV before playing that brand new update.
So stay close. You're a little too close.
You said stay close.
You're failing the mission.
You said stay close. I'm just following your instructions.
Well, we're Siamese twins.
What's the recipe for surprising the kids, treating yourself, and ditching dish duty? You're looking at it. Order your Pizza Hut faves like Original Pan, Original Stuffed Crust, and more at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Come on, guys, get the W.
I'm winning. If you really want to win this, we should do the freeze drive ritual!
Silence! TBH, the elixir!
Elixir? I brought Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper is the elixir.
Pizza Hut stuffed crust is the crust that made crust good. Topped and stuffed with over a half-pound of cheese. What are you so afraid of? Loving it? Original stuffed crust, just $12.99. Only from Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Do I enjoy Final Fantasy XIV? Hell yeah, I do. Did I tell you what happens in the series of story campaigns up to this point? Not a chance. Good thing WWE superstar King Woods, aka Austin Creed, is a giant Final Fantasy nerd. Here's his breakdown of the Final Fantasy XIV story thus far.
Come with me, friends, on an epic journey through the beautiful land of Eorzea, where the prophesized warrior of light must fight to bring peace to the world. It's a tale brimming with magic, friendship, betrayal, and, 11 years of lore.
I am not interested, little son. Try again when you've become a man.
Welcome to Final Fantasy 14. Now, before I dive into the details, it goes without saying that there will be spoilers from Final Fantasy 14 leading all the way up to Endwalker. You have been warned. With that out of the way, you'll start your journey as an aspiring heroic adventurer from one of 3 major towns, seeking out quests in your local adventurers guild. While on your quest, you're visited by Hydaelyn, aka the Source, an all-powerful crystal. Yes, it has the same name as the world you inhabit. No, I do not know why either. But it grants you a series of superpowers called the Echo, which allow you to look into a person's soul, speak any language, and most importantly, prevents you from being mind controlled by the primals. Your actions, newfound powers, and good deeds are noticed by the Scions. Think of these guys as the Justice League of Eorzea. After you pass the vibe check of the leader of the Scions, you're recruited into their ranks. Now along the way, you meet 2 Elzen allies, Alphanod and Alisei. Keep them in your back pocket because they're going to be very important as we go along. And after another series of battles and quests, you return to your home base to find the Scions missing and several of your people slain. You use your Echo powers and learn that the Garlean Empire, remember the evil guys that I mentioned earlier, keep up kids, broke into your base and killed people while you were away. You find refuge in a church and try to piece together what happened, teaming up with Alphanod and a man known as Marcus along the way. The team finds an airship, the Enterprise, not to be confused with that other ship of the same exact name, and heads off to take down Primal Beast Garuda. In a plot twist, you find out that Marcus is actually a Cid. Anyway, this Cid recognizes you as one of the Warriors of Light. Just as the party arrives to defeat the Primal Garuda in a boss battle, the game doubles down and summons not 1 but 2 more Primals, Ifrit and Titan, and it's an all-out 3-way kaiju fight. Look at these guys! This is badass! While the 3 Primals duke it out, the evil Garlean Empire drops their new god-killing machine, the Ultima weapon. Capable of destroying primal beasts and absorbing their energy, and the 3 Primals are devoured. Our heroes nope out of there to try and rescue the Scion. The team reunites with 2 Scions, Y'shtola and Ida, and initiate a plan of attack to rescue the remaining Scions and defeat Ultima Weapon, the Garlean Empire, Labrea, and the Garlean Empire leader, Gaius. Now, this battle is insane, but our heroes somehow save the day, and thus a new era is born. The new 7th Astral Era, a new dawn. The Primals are freed from the weapon of doom, but their imminent threat to Eorzea remains. And here, friends, is where we've reached the expansions. Everybody feeling good? Need some water? You following up well? Good. Because it only gets more complicated from here. It's time to talk about the Heavensward expansion. Released in 2015, which focuses on a 1,000-year dragon song war between the Holy See of Ishgard and the Dragon Horde from Dravenia. 1,000 years ago, the mighty King Thordan endeavored to build a bridge across the Sea of Clouds above Abalathia's Spine Mountain range. But this angered Nidhogg the dragon. A fierce battle commenced, and Nidhogg struck down the king. Fueled with fury, the son of the king carved out the dragon's eye with his father's spear. And from that moment forth, Nidhogg has waged war against the inhabitants of Ishgard. Which, when you think about it, is completely fair. Because if my neighbor was trying to build a road through my backyard, and when I tried to stop it, his son stabbed me in the eye, I'd be pissed. I'd be beyond pissed, actually. And you know, I'd post about it on a Reddit thread, I'd post about it on Twitter, I'd make a hashtag, everyone would know. You and your crew set out to kill Nidhogg, a legendary feat. Using Nidhogg's eye, the great powerful dragon is defeated. There's also some other boss battles in there that are cool, and at last a millennium of war has come to an end. And with this, Ishgard is restored into the Eorzean Alliance, and an optimistic future for Eorzea looms. Yes! Peace and love forever, right? Wrong. Wrong. Second expansion, Stormblood. And guys, the evil Garlean Empire is at it again, and this time their phones have 3 lenses. So even if you hate them, you still want their gear. And it's your job to mount rebellions against them in the regions of Alamigo and Doma. Channel your inner Star Wars for this one, because you and your crew head to Doma with the goal of liberating this feudal town from Garlean Empire rule. After a series of quests and building rapport, you find the missing Prince of Doma and form an alliance. With the prince's help, Doma is liberated, and your group heads to Alamigo to do the same. On your way, you help more provinces and gather an army of allies to help you free Alamigo. You find a primal fusion and a boss battle ensues. At last, Al Amigo is finally liberated. The new leader of Al Amigo vows to rebuild the city with democracy and bids farewell to you and your scions. Democracy, huh? Must be nice. As you move on to your next quest, your group of scions are attacked by a mysterious voice cleverly called the Calling, leaving them in a coma-like state. You're the only one who the Calling doesn't affect. On your way, you meet a man known as Shadow Hunter who reveals himself to be Gaius Van Balsar, the Garlean leader from the beginning of this adventure. Twist! And he's handsome. Oh, yeah! Double twist! Gaius realizes he's been a pawn to the Ascians. Remember that cult? And their manipulation of the Garlean Empire. So he decides to work to destroy the Ascians, and part of that is letting you know about the cult's newest bioweapon, the Black Rose. This deadly gas kills whoever breathes it in, and this is going to be very important later. You then receive a message from the Calling telling you to seek out the beacon at the Crystal Tower to save the world. One more expansion to go. The Shadowbringers DLC from 2019 lets players explore a new region of Norvon. This region is a new dimension inside the world of the First, one of the 13 reflections of Heidel. The First was nearly destroyed by a flood of light, and is at risk of destruction yet again by Sin Eaters and Light Wardens, which would also cause a calamity back in Eorzea, and this is where you come into play, because you can defeat these Light Wardens, but to do so, you gotta go from the Warrior of Light to the Warrior of Darkness, to bring balance to the dimension, and by extension, the world. Oh, and remember your friends who were in comas back in Eorzea? That was totally an accident by the Crystal Exarch, his bad, who, by the way, is the true identity of the Calling. He was trying to summon the Scions to help, but instead he brought their souls to his alternate dimension. You learn along the way that the Ascians' true purpose is to make the world whole, thus restoring the garbage fire that was version 1.0, you know, the one that the whole game blew up before, so yeah, they're real bad. And after another epic boss battle, you're able to bring balance of darkness and light back to the First. Obviously, there's a lot more detail to be had here. This is an 8 years of continuous story. So Adam, you're all caught up, and you can start your own Final Fantasy MMO RPG journey.
I don't know what just happened, but I think I liked it. I'm confused.
Now, I'm ready to jump into some FF14 and be slightly less confused than what I have been.
We can watch it again if you didn't catch all of that.
Nah, as long as I can hit someone with a giant sword, I'm good.
Next up is our look at the new zombie survival game, The Last Stand Aftermath.
Come back after this quick break.
Wednesdays on E!
Today, breeding season.
I will not be doing that. 8 celebrity kids.
My dad is Shaquille O'Neal.
Your dad is worldwide.
0 life skills.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Relatively famous ranch rules. Wednesdays at 9, only on E!
Something going on around here.
My people are coming to kill everyone.
You have to do something about this. You're an alien. Phone home.
Welcome back to XPlay, the show with the most well thought out zombie contingency plan on digital cable. In our new segment, 60 Minutes to Score, Gerard and Frost played the brand new zombie survival game Last Stand Aftermath for exactly 1 hour before passing judgment. Here's what they thought. Gerard, you had another chance to play a game in 60 Minutes to Score it, so why don't you tell us about what game you played today and how you're feeling about it?
Yeah, so Frost and we played The Last Stand Aftermath, which I believe is a sequel to the Last Stand franchise. Kind of an isometric, I want to say dungeon crawler, but it kind of really wasn't. You're playing as these different characters surviving in a zombie apocalypse. You're gathering resources. You're dealing with zombies. We played for about 60 minutes. Obviously, it's the point of the program, and I'm still mulling it over. I think overall my experience was just fine. It was just okay. I wasn't angry. I wasn't having a ton of fun. The most fun I had was kicking zombies while they were down. That was really fun. But I think, it's supposed to be like a roguelike in that it's randomly generated every time. So every time you die, you play as a new character, you have new dungeon layouts, and you have to find fuel and resources to then maneuver from one town to another with the hope to kind of bringing all the supplies and stuff back for your home camp. I don't know, Frost, you saw me play. What were your thoughts going into it?
The game was pretty, like the graphics looked nice, especially for an isometric view. More so on the realistic side than some of the more, I guess, abstract designs that are out there. It was too dark though. We were having a lot of difficulty seeing things. There was no adjustment through the graphics panel about increasing brightness. And it felt like while it was cool that there was kind of stacking mechanics and different resources to keep track of, there was a lot. It was like a reload system, an ammo system, your health bar, a virus bar, a stamina bar.
I'd imagine that's especially bad because you're only getting, like in the first hour, it's throwing all that at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a roguelike's kind of their expertise is to introduce mechanics to you slowly. This one kind of like was just kind of like pushing you out on the stage of roguelikes. Like, just figure it out as you're out there. And maybe this is just me just being nervous, being like him in front of thousands of people on different platforms and stuff. But I actually had a hard time figuring out where to go most of the time because there's not a mini map or any kind of map indicator, and not that the game needs it, but because everything is so dark, you have a hard time really noticing where even marker points are supposed to be. Objective markers are obscured by certain trees or atmospheres or lack there of light just in general. So it was a lot to kind of take in the hour that we played.
I would imagine that's especially bad because like another thing that's like dark for you is not being able to get your hands on a PS5, and then you finally are able to play it and you can't even see the game. So like I would imagine that really kind of brought your spirit down. I don't know.
Why would you hurt me like that? What did I do to you?
Can we spam it up in the chat? No. Hashtag get Froska PS5. Operation get Froska PS5.
I have been trying to ruin Timmy and Bobby's Christmas for at least 6 months now, and it's not working. I keep seeing the scalpers, I'm like, I refuse! I will never give in! Meanwhile, I'm at like GameStop, like zombie stomping all these 5-year-olds for it.
For sure. So, what would you guys give The Last Stand Aftermath? Would you want to keep playing it, say I'm good, or never get your hour back?
I think I'd give it a I'm good. Just right in the middle. I had fun. I don't need to play it ever again. Frost?
I think it's a hard pass for me.
Hard pass?
Yeah. It's just not my type of game.
So you want your hour back?
Well, the thing is like I've played Hades now, and so any game that is even remotely in the same genre, I'm like, nah,
spoiled.
Well, it's not Hades, so.
For sure.
It's a high bar.
I can't be horny at this game.
Thank you for watching another episode of XPlay. It's a labor of love.
It's very sweet, and the best way to express love is by buying pointless stuff and giving it to that special someone.
And if you're gonna buy pointless stuff anyways, why not buy stuff with the XPlay logo on it?
And you can check it out at shop.g4tv.com. And that's our show. Bye.